So I just wanted to do an introductory video to let people know why I'm posting these videos that I'm going to be posting. For the last 21 years, I've dealt with anxiety disorder. It's been multifaceted. I've had panic disorder. I've suffered obsessive compulsive disorder. I've also just had a lot of interesting experiences. And I feel like not only will this be therapeutic for me, but also if it can help somebody out there, anybody who maybe doesn't understand what they're dealing with. Maybe they have started having panic attacks and they think they're losing their mind. I know I felt that way. It's important to me that people understand that there is help. There is a way to deal with these things that will, not be easy, but it will help you to be able to get through it. I'm not a doctor. This is not intended to replace any type of therapy or treatment. If you're suffering from any mental health disorder, I encourage you to seek the advice of a professional. I have, and that has been beneficial to me through the years. But I just wanted to give an introduction as to why I'm doing the channel, why I'm launching it. And I feel like, this all started 21 years ago in May, driving home from Montreal. I had a panic attack. And contrary to what you'll often read about panic attacks, this panic attack lasted over an hour, at least almost an hour. I was in the fetal position. I was initially driving. I had my wife take over, obviously. It was incredibly traumatic. And really, my life has never been exactly the same since. So that's how it started. I went for about a year about 2 years, trying to find a physiological answer for why this was happening to me. Was this, because I did have allergies, I did have things like that were contributing. I mean, one thing I want to tell people out there, a lot of the time, it's not all in your mind. I mean, first of all, there's a physiological response that you are experiencing, whether or not there's an underlying health condition. And often there is something underlying that maybe normally you wouldn't notice as much. But our nervous systems become hypersensitive. And once this happens, then things that normally would have been uncomfortable or maybe cause some inconveniences, they have the potential to take over your life. So it was at that time that I also had developed a number of allergies, both to grass pollen, tree pollen, things like this. So, I was experiencing some shortness of breath that I hadn't experienced before, and some symptoms and some inner ear dysfunction that I wasn't experiencing before. So I was dizzy. I really wasn't feeling well. Combine that with a lack of sleep and some very stressful personal issues that were going on in my life. And it just made for the perfect recipe, I believe, to start having panic attacks. And, as I stated before, my life's never been quite the same ever since. I feel as though I have learned a lot of really good coping mechanisms that I want to share with people. And in this video, since I'm just, putting it out there why I'm doing this, to help people feel like they're not alone. People don't like to talk about mental health issues. It's an embarrassing thing. People can't see it, so they are going to there's going to be a stigma attached to it, especially if you're a guy, because you're using that as an excuse, you're just too scared to live your life. And I will tell you that when this happened to me, I wouldn't say I was too scared to live my life. And I would say that some of the bravest things I've ever done, I've done since I've had this condition, because, I never thought about driving, going to work, or, just the regular daily life's activities. I just did them. But since then, driving to work and being at work sometimes has seemed like climbing the south face of Everest. So I believe that I've been more courageous since I've had anxiety and panic disorder than I ever was prior to that. So it's not a question of weakness, but I want people to know that you're not going crazy. You do need to learn how to deal with stress better. Usually that's going to start with sleep, exercise, and balanced eating. Those three things, if you can get sufficient sleep and sufficient quality of sleep, sufficient exercise, and eat in a way where eating isn't dictating your life. I'm not saying low carb, I'm not saying Mediterranean, I'm not giving you how you should eat. Different diets will work for different people, but you want to eat in such a way where it's balanced and it's not controlling your life. And you certainly don't want to eat to self-medicate, which is something that I know that I've done from a very young age, and it's caused a lot of issues over the years. But if you can do those three things, and again, depending on where you're at, if you're having panic attacks on a regular basis, that is going to debilitate you. You should seek professional help. Pharmaceutical intervention might be beneficial, especially if you're in a really, dark place and your thoughts are racing to the point where, you can't, concentrate on anything. And I've been there, trust me, I've been there. And, I feel like if you're in that state, probably the best thing to do will definitely be to seek professional help and potentially try to find a drug that takes you from here down to here. I don't believe that drugs are ever the ultimate solution. What they do is they're a tool. They're a tool where it can get your anxiety down to the point where you can start to force yourself to do the things that you need to do, putting one foot in front of the other. I've been able to live my life mostly normally for the last, 14 years. I have had a couple of relapses. I realize it's always a potential. It's not going to, I'm never going of the mindset where I'm going to give up if I do relapse. And in the meantime, while I'm feeling, well enough, I want to help other people to not feel alone, to have the courage to ask for help, to get help. And also for people maybe who don't have it, who have a spouse who has it, because my wife, God bless her, has been so unbelievable in sticking with me through this. It's been, especially the first 6 years before I was really effectively treated, from 2003 to 2009 or so, I really was not effectively treated. And the fact that she stayed with me through that is just a testament to the person she is. But, it's not all in your head. These symptoms and the symptoms that you're feeling are the same as if you had cancer, as if you had a broken leg. It's the same electrical impulses causing the same issues. The headaches, the muscle twitching, the shortness of breath, those are all things that are just happening. Like, that's one thing I want to explain to people too. Panic attacks are not always, in fact, I find largely are not brought on by anticipatory thinking. Some of my worst panic attacks have happened completely out of the blue. I've been maybe even having a good time. And, normally the commonalities that I find are that I'm not well rested. In general, probably the stress is up a little in my life. Those are the main contributing. I'm not well rested. Maybe I haven't been exercising. That's another thing that for me, exercise really is the t-shirt is not hyperbolic. Exercise really is the biggest part of my therapy. I find when I exercise on a regular basis, and again, get enough sleep and don't eat like a fool, that is the best treatment for my health. I do take medication as well. I don't have some stack of drugs I take. I take one drug, and that is enough to keep me, from going any place where, to the point where I'm having panic attacks. I'll still have an occasional panic attack. Oh, and this is, before I wrap this video up, as the introduction video, if you are having panic attacks, let them happen. Just let it happen. You feel like you're dying, right? Let yourself die. Let yourself go wherever you're going, fading off into the background. Let it happen. Don't fight it. It's so counterintuitive to somebody, I think to most of us who have panic attacks. We care. If anything, we care too much, right? We care about the people in our lives. We care about people in general, and we do care about ourselves. So you feel like when you're fading away, because panic attacks, that's a really difficult thing to describe, but when you feel like you're dying, you're fading away, your instinct, at least mine was to fight it. I'm like, no, I'm not going out like this. And all that does is intensify it. That makes it more intense. So let it happen. Let it happen. That's really going to be a lot of the key to a lot of this. But I'm going to cover, I want to cover things like depersonalization, derealization, obsessive compulsive disorder, intrusive obsessive compulsive disorder, intrusive thought, and obsessive compulsive disorder. Because, these are things that, I've dealt with along the way that, have been so unbelievably debilitating and scary. And to get it out there, to get talking about it, so that people, mainly you people out there who are experiencing this, know that you're not going crazy, you're not dying. Health anxiety. There's another video that I want to make, because that has taken on a life of its own. If you're anything like me, you probably, when doctors or physician's assistants or nurses talk to you, they're like, oh, well, do you have a medical background? Yeah, it's called Google. And I've Googled, thousands of hours of my life away looking for what was wrong with me, what hidden health issue that they've missed do I have? And, unfortunately, after 21 years, this is either the slowest diagnostic process, or I do indeed have a condition where, my the electrical impulses of my brain are being, are firing incorrectly for whatever reason. Something that shouldn't be scary or cause anxiety is causing anxiety, and is causing physiological symptoms. Like I said, those symptoms are real. They're not fake. You're not crazy. You're not a baby. Don't let anybody tell you that. But you do have to take the initiative to get diagnosed, to get treatment. And then after that is where the real work is going to begin. If you find something that takes you from up here, anxiety-wise, down to here, or here maybe, then you have to put in the work. You have to prove to your own mind that those impulses are incorrect, that the feelings you're having are not associated with a life-threatening danger, but instead, it's basically these impulses are playing a trick on you. They're being interpreted incorrectly. So I'm going to wrap up the video. I'm going to try to post on a regular basis. And, you know, obviously I have a real life and a real job and a real family, so I make no guarantees, but please share with me any experiences in the comments. You know, I think that it's important that people out there with this condition, and I think finally, in total summation, that's why. Because I think when I got this, I felt like I was in a very small percentage of the population that dealt with clinical anxiety. But as my experience and journey has gone on, I think I realize now that there's a very large segment of society, especially with everything that we're inundated with on social media and the media in general. I think that it cultivates these mental health disorders. You know, it makes the environment ripe. You know, when you're constantly being bombarded with this negative thing, this controversial thing, this, you know, bad news, this potential climate change, you know, whatever it is. And these are all things, of course, that you can't control. And worrying about things you can't control, if you have anxiety, you know where that's going to lead you. So anyways, this is my introductory video. Like, subscribe, whatever. But main thing is, this is just essentially just for me to help people who may need it, and also probably as a bit of therapy for myself. So thank you very much, and, you know, enjoy your weekend.